Okay, it is midday, so we're going to get started. Welcome everybody. As I said when we were checking everyone could hear me, I'm Megan, the VoIP Brand Manager here at Soft Solutions, and Matt Carey's on the line with me as well.
Hello.
And Matt is our senior engineer. So the power of technology, we're obviously at 2 remote locations because like all of you, we are at home, working from home. And using the technology to full advantage. So if there's any sort of stumbles in this presentation, it's just that we're not actually there to see each other's cues, but we're pretty good at this. So I just wanted to clarify the purpose of today's meeting is to look at Webmeeting from 3CX. Now, to be able to demo Webmeeting and show you all the features, we couldn't actually run this meeting as a web meeting. So we've had to use a different platform, and then we will upload this into our YouTube channel as well, and make the recording available afterwards. So it's just one of those things that we can't demo it and use it all at the same time. So I also just wanted to do a quick shout out to our Soft Solutions admin and internal sales team who have been working really hard to help all of our 3CX partners in particular. We've had a huge volume of license upgrades and all sorts of things that suddenly become urgent when we go into a situation like what we're facing now with a national lockdown. If any of you do have orders that are urgent for, say, a medical centre or something like that, if you put that in the heading of your email, our admin and sales team are looking for those constantly, as are the management team. So we are trying to prioritise those as much as possible for you. So do let us know, and if there are any issues, feel free to reach out to myself as well, and I will certainly do my best to help elevate things through the orders list. So that was just a quick kind of housekeeping. So now looking at Webmeeting. So on the screen in front of you, you can actually see Matt's live web client, which shows that I'm on Do Not Disturb so that I can do this webinar with you and Matt. So I'm just going to run through the basics of Webmeeting, and then Matt's actually going to demo it for us from the web client. So key point is Webmeeting is included with every single license of 3CX, even the free standard 8 simultaneous call license. The number of seats you receive is different for each edition of the software. So if you've got the standard edition, you get 25 seats for Webmeeting. If you've got the professional, you get 100 seats, and at enterprise, you get 250 seats. So it's just the number and level of seats that are available. Only the professional and enterprise edition offer the option to be able to dial into a conference. That's not available on the standard edition of 3CX. There are multiple ways of having conferences. So 3CX supports either audio or video conferencing. You can do those instantly, or you can schedule them for a future time and date. We have been using a lot of instant web meetings since going remote because it's nice to actually see our colleagues' faces and not just deal with phone calls. With the video conferencing, you can have everybody on screen, which we often do for our web meetings, or you can schedule a classroom style webinar where you have a presenter and all attendees are actually muted and you can unmute or just take chat questions, etc. One good thing, and I don't know if it was just fortuitous or what, but 3CX actually upgraded the infrastructure of Webmeeting early in 2020, and it was on the schedule for at the end of 2019. We knew that was happening at the beginning of 2020. The infrastructure for Webmeeting was upgraded to allow for additional capacity because they were already seeing growth. Since COVID-19 really hit the globe and the pandemic pandemic was declared, 3CX have seen a 1200% growth in the usage of web meeting, and that is continuing to grow. So one of the questions as a distributor that we asked of 3CX is, are they concerned about capacity? And they have come back firmly saying no, they're not concerned about capacity. The infrastructure upgrade they undertook allows for a much larger growth than even the 1200%, which was not anticipated. So that gives us a bit of reassurance around that infrastructure. And obviously when you're using WebRTC technology, you are reliant on your own internet connection as well, and we know the internet in New Zealand is getting a bit of a hammering. So Matt's going to take us through a demo. Now Webmeeting is available from the web client, which is what Matt's going to use. It's also available from the soft phones and from your mobile apps. So you can actually use Webmeeting from any way that you would normally use 3CX. Has great features like being able to share your screen, use the whiteboard, share documents, do the presentation, there's a live chat, there's all sorts of things there. So Matt's going to walk us through that demo, and then we will wrap up with some questions towards the end. Over to you, Matt.
Awesome, thanks Megan. A couple of questions already. We'll get to those just after the demo. So yep, Webmeeting, we are absolutely loving it, and as Megan said, it's growing with usage rapidly around the world and scaling fantastically. So a key thing with Webmeeting is WebRTC based technology. So to use it, it doesn't require a plugin as such, unless you're using some of the more advanced functionality, such as sharing and the like. But it does need a WebRTC compliant browser, so no Internet Explorers. Firefox, Chrome, you're golden, all good to go. So let's have a quick look at it. So this is the web client that I'm using here. We're seeing a lot more adoption of the web client these days, especially with the Chrome plugin that's available. It will do screen pop with the call even if the browser's closed, which is really, really cool. So we'll hop into a web meeting. And we've got our login button. So if you were to do this from the soft phone client, it would basically just pop open a browser window with this. Just close off that.
And just while Matt's getting that up, this is what we would call an instant web meeting. So it's, you want to do a web meeting with one of your colleagues right now. So that's what Matt's going to show us now.
So here I am working remotely. So this is basically it. So we've got a few options in here. Basically, anytime somebody pops in to actually utilize Webmeeting, it'll come up at the top saying, can we use your audio? Can we use your video? So it does ask for those permissions ahead of time. So it's not just going to turn on by default. So there's no security problems there. If at any one time you want to turn off video, you've got the ability to do so here. We found quite interestingly with 3CX, when they've hosted channel updates and like, they sometimes turn the cameras on afterwards, and most people in Asia Pacific seem to be very screen shy. So there is that ability in there to turn it off. We've got the option there for audio as well. We've got the ability to start recording, which is then emailed afterwards. We've got the ability to do screen sharing. So we're seeing increased usage of this, especially with remote support and things like that. There is the ability with 3CX and its click to call to come in via a web meeting as well for a ring group or a call queue, which is the sort of the story behind that is, now that this technology is here and now that this technology is working, because it doesn't count against your simultaneous call count within 3CX, it's an excellent replacement for something like an 0800 number, provided that the person connecting is actually comfortable enough with the technology. So we have the ability there to do a screen share as well. We have the ability to share a PDF. So there's a few that I've used in the past. So basically you import the PDF and it will convert it for you so you can do it as a presentation.
So that's what we use if we're doing a webinar style presentation. We pre-upload the PDF and then use that. If you've ever attended any of Yilmaz's presentations via Webmeeting, that's exactly what he uses as well. So very powerful tool just to be able to share our presentations.
Absolutely. And we did some testing with it at the beginning of the week as well, and it was just wonderful to see it just works. There's no mucking around or anything like that. It just works. It's really cool. So you've got the ability to have a whiteboard as well, from which if we were to grab a pen or something like that, I'm using a touchpad, so that's why my handwriting is rubbish. So you've got the ability to collaborate via that as well.
That's not true, Matt. Your handwriting's rubbish anyway. Come on, we've got to have some truth
I
here.
should have been a doctor. I shouldn't have been getting into VoIP and tech. I should have been a bloody doctor.
I think it's a tech thing that handwriting's just as bad.
We've got the ability as well to start a poll, which we can then present to any of the attendees, and it's quite easy to set up. Just give it a title, and much like funnily enough, when you're setting up an IVR within 3CX, you just go through, enter in the questions, click save, and then that will run that to all the delegates that are part of it. We obviously have the hang up button, which I almost clicked by accident. So don't do that unless you want to hang up. On the right-hand side here, we can see all the people that are in. Currently, it's only me, and we can see that I'm currently talking. When you add new attendees, you have the ability as the meeting organizer to mute them or give them access to remote control as well. To add new attendees, because as Megan mentioned, this is sort of an ad hoc meeting that we've set up here. You could, of course, schedule one. But if you're doing it on the fly, invite people, give them a name, pop in their email and click add. Then you can build out a nice long list of whoever you want to be in there. Click OK, and it will send them out an email to join.
And one key thing around this is that the people that you're inviting to attend your web meeting do not need to be using 3CX. So you can invite anybody to attend your web meeting as long as they have an email address that can receive the invitation. So it is a very simple WebRTC based technology to use.
And provided that they're not using Internet Explorer.
Yes.
We also have the ability from here to copy the web meeting link as well. So then if rather than sending invitations, if you want people to be able to join without you setting up a session, you could potentially embed that link, because the link is always the same. You can embed that into something such as email signatures if you want customers to be able to quickly connect to have a chat with you. So probably the last thing I want to just cover off as well is we obviously have chat down here and the ability to raise hands. But from within 3CX itself, if you go to the main dashboard, hopefully it doesn't kick, and go to Web Meeting MCU. Now, by default, this is set to automatic. So it is going to try and find the closest server, looking at ping and all that sort of stuff. But if it ever did have an issue, Australia and Sydney nodes are obviously the closest ones to us. So when Web Meeting first came out, it did, I believe, default to Europe, which we obviously provided feedback for. And now we have the Sydney nodes. There is low latency. It does work really, really well. But that's something to keep in mind when you're setting it up in there as well. So that's basically it. It is pretty simple. It's pretty easy to set up. You can do it as a link. You can do it as an email. It really enables massively easy collaboration as well as face-to-face, as Megan was mentioning. Sort of when we have these remote virtual offices with workers working remotely, it is nice to be able to have that sort of presence on the screen. So I'll open up to questions now.
Sorry, Matt, can I just get you to log out of the ad hoc one and just zip into the schedule conference on your web client, just so that we can show the scheduling ability? So we'll say goodbye to Matt's pretty face, but we'll still see his screen. So in here, which is where you can schedule the conference, so you have the option of audio or video and now or later. And if perhaps Matt, if you just click on video and later and just show the drop down for the web meeting versus webinar option down the bottom there.
Sure. So, yep, there we go. So we can do it as a web meeting or as a webinar and schedule it in. We can give it the time and date and all that as well. Give it a subject, and then basically we can go and create it from there.
Yep, it's, as you can see, it's really simple to set up.
It is really simple.
Everybody gets a calendar reminder so that they can add it to their calendar as well, and it just works. It's really simple. So I think we can now open it to questions, Matt.
Okay, let's have a look. Sorry, I'm on a very tiny screen at the moment. Okay, so Chris, a recorded web meeting should send. If you want to email me, matt@softsoul.co.nz afterwards with the details, I can have a look into that one for you. Question for Megan. If the dial-in number is pro and it's a local dial-in number, does it show up any simultaneous call counts?
Yes, it will, because it is a call rather than a just a standard web RTC on the web meeting, so it will take up simultaneous call count. I don't actually know of many customers that use the dial-in option because most are using the web meeting option, but it is available.
Cool, and another question. Yes, you can put that link on your website because again, it doesn't change, so then it will automatically come and set up a session for a web meeting. And question, whiteboard ability to use pens. I have a pen in my bag over here, one moment. Get it out. Okay. So if we pop into web meeting, I'm on a Microsoft Surface, so I've got a pen. Give it a moment. Awkward silence.
While Matt's just bringing it up to show that part, just I guess a marketing opportunity for everybody while he grabs the whiteboard there is it's a good time to touch base with your customers, check that they're all set for obviously their remote working, but just remind them that this web meeting is available. So we did release a blog on Monday, yesterday, the days are all blurring into one, which is around web meeting, and there is a link to the guide that you can share with your customers. And that walks them through basically what we've just shown you, which is how web meeting works. So you can now see Matt there with his little hand trying to write nice and neatly.
No, it doesn't look like at this point in time, unless my pen's not working, but it hasn't been charged in some time, so it might not be.
We'll have to double check on that one because I haven't got a pen here with mine either.
Let's stick it on the side so it actually charges up. Cool.
Any more questions there?
Doesn't appear so.
Okay, if any questions do come to mind, you know that you can always reach out to Matt or I directly, or email voip@softsoul.co.nz, and we certainly are around to help you. With the whole remote working thing, you know, the days are all blurring into one. If there's something urgent, put it in the heading, because you never know, Matt and I might be bored and looking at our emails on a Saturday or a Sunday. I actually did help one of our customers this weekend who had an urgent issue with a medical centre. So I was available, I could help, I got it sorted. So, you know, we are here. You will have seen, if you receive our weekly newsletter, that Soft Solutions is able to operate as essential services because of the tools that we're providing. So we do actually have a skeleton staff in our office, just 2 people, that are able to ship any hardware that you require for people. So if somebody does need a DECT or Wi-Fi portable phone at home or something like that, we do have those available to ship. When it became very apparent that we were going to go into some form of lockdown situation, we really made sure we stocked up on our VoIP hardware so that we would have everything available for our customers. So you can still order that hardware and we can get that to you.
Awesome. Just a couple more questions. So firstly, does this work with Mac? That's a good question that I haven't had before. It should work with any browser that supports WebRTC, and that shouldn't matter whether it's Windows or Mac.
I believe it
And
does work from the Mac soft phone. So
yeah. And lastly, the meeting settings. So you go to your main dashboard, you click on Web Meeting MCU here, and it will take you to your server settings here. Cool.
and automatic is the preferred setting for that because it's going to take you to the site that has the most capacity available. And as I say, 3CX had already had a plan in place to upgrade that infrastructure, which sort of got to wonder if it was crystal ball gazing stuff, but it is there. The other last note from me, I have popped it into LinkedIn. 3CX have just released the latest roadmap with some very exciting things, and they're actually out to, was it update 8 that they're predicting up to now for version 16, Matt? I think
Yeah,
it was
something like
update
that.
8.
7 or 8,
And
yeah.
yeah, so I mean, it's obviously not 100% confirmed, but it is where they're heading and things that they want to look at. There is a link on the LinkedIn group, the VoIP group, or if you're connected with me, I will be sharing that out via LinkedIn, and it will come out via our weekly as well. But just let me know if you haven't seen it, and I can zip you a link so that you can have a read of what's cooking with 3CX.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Hopefully this was beneficial, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Stay safe.